here, even a minor innovation here means a lot, right? Because you're improving on a base where you want to be completely secure and you don't want to take unnecessary risk and so on and so forth. So,
right, in the current sense of things, the way the home loan market and the overall lending market is currently poised, um, how do you see that creating a macroeconomic impact at a larger scale?
we have a country of 1.4, 1.45 billion. Of that, you have 1 billion mobile users already.
Right.
India is the largest user of data, just like UPI and everything else on the finance side. Customers are super ready. As we
True.
continue to smoothen this, there will be more adoption. And as you will have more adoption, what you'll find is a lot better credit. According to me, a digital underwriting, a digital validation of an application will be a lot more rigorous.
Welcome back to this exciting episode of Fintech Ki Baat, the second segment called Dhande Ki Baat, with Mr. Pramod Kathuria, founder and CEO of Easi Loans. Hey Pramod, glad to have you back here again. To the audience, if you guys haven't seen the first part, the founder story, Pramod has shared some really insightful anecdotes, amazing story, and overall in general, great stuff about entrepreneurship and his journey. So please do check out. You'll find the link somewhere here. You can figure it out. Having said that, moving on, Pramod, I think thank you once again for doing this. It's been really insightful conversation so far. Let's talk a bit about Easi Loans, what you guys are building, and the entire landscape, right? So you are essentially trying to bring innovation into the home loan space, speaking in very rudimentary terms. So what exactly does Easiloan do?
So, thanks, Shreyas. Thanks to be back again in this section. EasyLoan is a fintech. So, like I mentioned in one of the earlier distinct observation, where either you go heavy on the tech side or you go heavy on the finance side, right?
Right.
And when we talk about home loan as an industry, it is a complete contrast to being a secured lending product. It's complete contrast to multiple other things that happen. We have seen nothing short of a revolution when it comes to personal loan. How instantly it is kind of getting done from discovery to fulfillment. How so many fintechs, right from players who are into lending, NBFCs to apps, to commerce app, and so on and so forth. Everybody is offering that almost instantly. Then you have mutual funds, you have the stock market, you have insurance. All of these found almost 100% adaptation on the digital side. When it comes to home loan, it remains very, very fragmented. It still is a traditional way of doing it. Some part of it is because RBI and the KYC norms, a bunch of other things require banks to go through that much detail on the credit worthiness as well as on the property check before they actually do the loan processing. That said, it is also to do with the way the channels are placed. So either you have the bank teams or you have the DSAs, and DSAs more often than not chase the revenue or the payout. They do not chase the profiling of customer and the profiling of the bank and try to sort of see the maximum value there. And they need to survive the business. So obviously they look at some of the things which are important for their business at that level. That said, we have also found a very, very diverse set of digital aspiration, digital adaptation on the banking side. Public sector banks, given that they are largely serving, the entire India demographic, right from the ones who have knowledge of internet, urban locations, to the ones who are semi-urban, rural, to the ones who are not having the same level of connectivity, their branch network, the way they give experience and they want to continue to give experience and so on and so forth, to a housing finance company who picks only a certain segment and wants to innovate in that segment, even if the ROI is high, even if the risk is high, but they want to continue to go in that direction. So there's a large diversity of approaches on the digital versus the physical side. What it really creates as a problem for a borrower today is that you have to navigate each of them independently to be able to make sense of what is the best comparison, what is the exhaustive comparison before I can go for the one offer that suits me best, right? And that's where we have identified the problem. Can we be the front end to the banking industry? Can we solve that? Can we be that one unified platform wherein on one side you will find a diverse palette of banks, a public, private, housing finance company, and an exhaustive one at that. And then can you have customers who can come and access this, compare it through a similar single journey, right? So it's not that you're going to a private sector, you have a very different journey. Going to a public sector, you have a different journey. No, you have a simple, unified journey for each of these banks. You come to a point where your profile is sort of studied, your bureau score is studied, and your requirement is vetted.
Right.
And then our recommendation, in our case, we have a AI-based recommendation engine which reads into the information that you provided to your requirement, and then gives you options which are best suited for you. So even if I give you like 40 options, you're going to only pick up the ones which are more likely to happen, because you'll go for a lower ROI, low processing fee, a better EMI, better tenure, and so on and so forth. So we give the top offers to the customer, which essentially improves the experience, significantly improves the turnaround time and the conversion. So you don't have to apply in 3 banks, you apply in one bank, you get it. So that is the problem we picked up as a business model. This is what we try to solve. In a nutshell, we are the front end to the banking system when it comes to mortgages. And this is where a customer will find diverse set of banks. They will be able to holistically compare and pick up what suits them best.
Understood. So in this case, just to make sure that my understanding is in the correct lines, you would essentially be acting as a front-end platform wherein customers can come, compare different home loan offerings in the market, probably also make one single application that goes on to the multiple lenders in the backend, depending on where his profile fits correctly. And then he would end up getting multiple offers or single offer depending on how his portfolio or how his profile is. And then he would probably select one which works for him. Is that how it works?
Kind of. The sequence is slightly different. The sequence is the customer comes in, they are able to see the entire exhaustive set of banks. Everything is there. Right. So what they put is their requirement. So the EasyLoan app is basically profiling you. If you're a salaried, you are a certain age, you are a certain FOIA, as in your income and obligation combination, and so on. So they kind of profiling you. Basis that on when they populate the recommendation or the offers, they would be only from those banks that are keen to offer you home loan, right?
Okay.
And then the empowerment is completely with the customer. So customer gets it all. Customer will get 30 offers, 20 offers based on their profile, and then they pick it whatever best. We don't nudge them to go in a certain way, because that's what digital economy is about, right? Empowering the customer. The customer is able to get an exhaustive set of bank offers, pick the one that suits them best. I, for example, I'm a loyal customer to a certain bank, right? Even if ROI is shade above, but I still want to go in that, please go, right? But we will publish everything transparently, and this is something which is really disrupting the process. Until now, the power was with either the channel who's able to only share that as much they want to share, right? You're coming to me as a DSA, I will choose only to share what I think is relevant, right? Because I will have the power to decide eventually where the payout is maximum, where my effort is least, and so on and so forth. Today, as EasyLoan, what you're doing is we're giving everything to you, because we have spent on technology. We created a unified journey. You will have almost identical journey whether you're going for a public or a private sector. In the back end, we will do a little bit of extra work to make sure the file that is going to the bank is comprehensive and has almost all the checks and balances in place.
Understood. So, talking about the next step, right? What essentially happens when the customer selects an offer and starts the process?
Yeah, so the customer selects the offer, their file is kind of created, and that goes into the bank. Some of the banks have complete digital interface, so the file goes digitally. Some of the banks have a physical leg to it, and in which case our backend team ensures that the physical leg is also completed by them. So EasyLoan undertakes both the digital as well as the physical step to make sure that your file is logged in. And the bank. So the book is banks, the risk is banks. The entire processing of the finance side of the loan side is done by the bank, and the bank is able to create a sort of file, create a sanction and a dispersal.
Right.
However, on Easy, what you're able to do, and which I missed as a very, very important aspect of our offering, is when a customer comes in, they put in their requirement, they go through this recommendation engine, which is your AI-based matchmaking engine. You pick up the offer that suits you best. Instantly, you will get a sanction advice from EasyLoan saying that this is your eligibility based on the bank rules and the logic. This is what it is coming out to be. Obviously, the bank eventually tops it up with their own sanction letter, which is eventually taken to dispersal. But a customer is able to instantly get a sanction advice from EasyLoan, which is almost gets you to go no-go decision on the property, whether you want to go, what value, LTV and all that. Everything is reasonably clear to the customer.
Makes sense. Interesting. So in this case, the entire journey that happens from starting the application to passing it to the bank that the customer selects, in majority of the cases or in many of the cases, it happens digitally, right? There is although there are still would be kind of steps which would still be physical in nature, right? In many cases, banks would want to kind of visit the property, or in many cases they would want to do an in-person verification. All of that, are all those steps in there, or what is that piece? How does that look, right?
Very good question, Shreyas. So I'm just digressing a little.
Sure.
So property buying, as we all know, is a very emotional decision and often requires multiple interaction with the seller, right? It will require multiple inspection of the property, a family coming in together, deciding. I'm talking normal case scenario, wherein a family is deciding it. It's emotional. You are at a highest level of your excitement and happiness when you book the property, right? That's a typical emotion that you operate with.
True.
And then you have this one element of home loan, which makes you anxious because it never gives you this experience. Arey, bada excitement aa gaya, bhai, home loan mil gaya. All you want is a good home loan, which covers the maximum in most cases of the entire buying value, which is the loan to value. But that's where the process starts, right? So what you're hunting for is, can somebody give me the best lender, best offer, what suits me best, transparently, so that eventually I'm not taken for a ride, key processing fee, itna tha, there's an additional charge and so on and so forth. And obviously there are steps like credit appraisal of the customer, property appraisal, which is the legal and technical. Legal is obviously title and everything else, and technical is the evaluation of the property and things like that. So why I wanted to digress is, what we are able to solve is this entire 80% of the anxiety that a customer has to go through on figuring out which bank is the right bank.
True.
What is my amount of loan? How is it that I can complete the process? Can I do it from here sitting in Bombay? Can I do it for Delhi? Right? I'm taking a property in Delhi. Can I sit in Bombay and still do it? Those things. Right. So we solve almost all of this completely seamlessly digitally. And wherever required, like I said, we do a physical effort in addition to that. But physical is not often a meeting. It is more to do with some signing required here and there. So we sort of, our backend team ensures that it is done untimely. Then comes a bank process of sanctioning and checking the property. So in a new property, a developer property, more often than not, there is a project approval in place, which doesn't require a separate legal or a technical check by the bank. And the bank is a very straight through process from there on. After sanction dispersal is straight through process once the registration has happened. In a secondary property, when you're buying individually a resale property, then a legal and technical is required, and which bank fires at their level, right? Once they get the processing fee, then they will do a legal and technical, which is a mix of digital and physical in today's time. But more often than not, it doesn't require a customer interface or an involvement. Customer doesn't have to really get involved in it. It's a bank exercise. So the bank does that. And banks are doing a lot of innovation there. I think there is a whole structure around account aggregators. Some bit of it is getting digitalized on the GPS, some bit of it getting digitalized on the document side and all that. But it will take some time before you can call it fully digital. But
Mm-hmm.
our offering is more on finding the customer, making sure
Mm-hmm.
that discovery to log in, and the finding of the loan is completely done seamless digitally, having least effort to be taken by the customer. So that is something that we have solved seamlessly.
Understood. Understood. Fair enough. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Having said that, if you were to kind of take a step back here and look at the wider overall industry trend in general, right? Over the last, let's say, talk about the pre-COVID era. Let's say half a decade before the pre-COVID era, around 2016 to 2019, kind of a thing. And then when you look at, let's say, 2021 to 2024, as we are about at the end of the 2024 anyways. So, how have you seen the entire home loan process evolve from that era to this era? I mean, I'm talking as if it's a very long period of time, but I mean, we have a lot of us has kind of observed that there has been significant changes because of the entire pandemic thing, right? So, have you seen any evolutions in the process or the tech innovations that have come in during this time to kind of amplify or kind of simplify, to be more precise, simplify the entire home loan journey?
Oh yes, there is a lot of change, and while the change is, I would say, relatively lesser in this product as opposed to some of the other financial product, and I told you the reason for that. Right? There are
Right.
more guardrails, there is more requirement by RBI, there's more requirement from the bank themselves, given
Right.
that they want to keep a certain check on the know your customer, the non-performing
Mm.
percentages, and so on and so forth. So, and hence the innovation here, even a minor innovation here means a lot, right? Because you're improving on a base where you want to be completely secure and you
Mm.
don't want to take unnecessary risk and so on and so forth. So, but if you see the turnaround times have changed completely. So there are banks that, and I'm talking about industry as such, that there are banks that are able to give you sanction intraday. There are
Right.
banks that they are able to process. In fact, if you have registered your property, the disbursal intraday. Uh, I think which was not possible earlier because the
Mm-hmm.
systems were built more physically.
Mm-hmm.
I think now a lot of process on the credit side are done by the system of the bank. And yes, if required, given a certain ticket size, if there is a requirement for, and this is more bank-based requirement, wherein they would want an officer to come in and give an extra layer. Or,
True.
for example, you're going for beyond 5 crore of a loan, and there is a
Mm-hmm.
committee that needs to give a go ahead. All those are bank requirement, but it moves very, very fast. It's incredible amount of pace that has come in on the sanctioning to dispersal. A lot of documents are available now digitally. So,
Mm-hmm.
you have a POI and POA, POI proof of income and proof of address, right?
Right.
So, proof of income has been digital format for some time now. So, I don't know whether I can slot it in post 21 or pre 2020. But now almost you'll not find physical evidences of those proof of income anymore. ITR, your downloading of ITR to the current date, everything is digital. So it completely
True.
changed.
True.
The Aadhaar penetration, the proof of address is also become very, very seamless. And kind of that allows even the proofreading of bank statement is completely digital, right? So one is able
Mm-hmm.
to make a sense out of it by looking at the bank statement, what is your regular income, and kind of find out anomalies if there is any. So it has changed, and digital is a single alone contributor there when it comes to the process. There's nothing else. The people are same, the productivity is same. It's just that their KRAs are got sort of redefined. Now they're
Right.
looking at those outputs and making sense out of it, and kind of sanctioning and processing the loan, as opposed to having to go through each of those document and bank statement and finding it out, circling it, where they find an anomaly and all that. Now it is coming as part
True.
of a
True.
digital software. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an incredible way, right? And as I hear it and what I understand is a great area of innovation would be the digital legal title certification and the digital technical checks that
Mm-hmm.
banks can carry out. A part of it is already being done, like I said,
Right.
and there's a bunch of body of work which is happening on the account aggregator, as well as the banks themselves doing it will eventually be able to transform that lot more.
Understood. So I think that helps a lot in getting a better perspective of how the segment has evolved. Having said that, right, in the current sense of things, the way the what do you say, the home loan market and the overall lending market is currently poised, how do you see if what you are trying to solve kind of gets adopted by, let's say, or kind of penetrates into 30% of the market of India, let's say the urban and the semi-urban areas, right? If this kind of process is adopted by that entire segment and it's working seamlessly, how do you see that creating a macroeconomic impact at a larger scale?
So we have a country of 1.4, 1.45 billion. Of that, you have 1 billion mobile users already.
Right.
India is the largest user of data. You have highest amount of time which is spent by individual world over in India on the mobile and the smartphones and things like that. So,
Mm.
and 1/3 of your waking time. I mean, I'm just giving some stats. I'll eventually come to
Of
the
course.
point that you're saying. If you were to really plug it well, how does it really play out, right? So you have 30% of your waking time is gone on the mobile. So
Mhm.
that's the demography that you're talking about on an average, right? So in urban markets, it could be higher, if anything.
Right.
And hence, whenever you say that if the adoption was to increase by say 30%, 40%, whatever it is, customers are ready, consumers are ready, just like
Mhm.
UPI and everything else on the finance side. Customers are super ready. As we
True.
continue to smoothen this,
Mhm.
there will be more adoption. And as you will have more adoption, what you'll find is a lot better credit. According to me, a digital underwriting, a digital validation of an application will be lot uh, more rigorous and streamlined as opposed to somebody sitting in a branch taking a call on a customer basis what they think could have gone right.
True.
Less of human error. uh, and इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा example मेरी personal life में भी ना, because if I'm putting my wife's name in Bangalore, there'll be an additional H, right?
Right.
So and so on and so forth. So and then you're going about and telling, okay, now this name has got wrong and please change it and so on and so forth. So that human error is zero when it is a machine which is kind of decoding that. Your
Mhm.
ability to bring in the ML and AI, which can extrapolate data, which can read into data and figure out errors ahead of time, is something that will also allow an alert banks to take the right calls
Mhm.
on credit as well as when it comes to collection. They're able to do a lot of smart contracting around it and things like that. So I see if adoption is increased by 30%, it
Mhm.
will not only bring the cost angle, it will improve the cost efficiency for the banks. It will improve also the credit underwriting piece for the banks, and hence it will at some point in time uh, control the non-performing. It will also allow access to a wider base of customers where there is some footprint and there's a better appraisal which can happen on that side, which will translate into housing and economy in general. It will allow more urbanization, like I said. So housing is directly home loan is nothing but a derivative to what housing is, what housing sale is happening, right?
Right.
And as you will have better solutioning on home loan, it will propel the housing sale, which will in turn create more urban centers. Typically, more trade is happening, more transactions are happening. So everything related to that will happen, and hence a better saving economy as opposed to spending economy and things like that. So I think this is where the shape will go with 30% is a big base, right? Moving in that direction. So I'm saying if this 30% is absolutely new and a top up to current base, so all this will happen. If it is a migration from the existing base of home loan borrower that is moving into the digital side of things, then it will
Right.
improve the efficiency on the banking side.
Understood. No, I think that is very. Either ways, it's a really exciting picture to look at, and I think we should all be looking forward to that, given the fact. And from what I understand, right, even if it is the existing base that kind of gets into the digital space and all of that, the increased efficiency will also enable a higher scaling up, given the fact that now there is more bandwidth available to kind of get in more, what is it, process more applications and get in more
Absolutely,
people,
absolutely.
as well as while the parallel factors kind of drive the consumption demand up from the home loan perspective, not the retail consumption. But then that will essentially push more people and slightly on a slightly slower than what would be the top-up scenario. But then again, I think it will push the entire value chain towards over a longer period of time.
Correct.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
That's definitely exciting. Having said that, this brings me to one of the last questions of this segment as well, which is, how do you see? I mean, since you guys already use some of the emerging technologies, AI essentially as a part of your application process, how do you see this creating a larger scale impact? Not just AI, but if you essentially uh, are also looking to leverage any other emerging technologies that are maybe blockchain as a part of creating a, what do you say, proof, I don't know that word, but essentially a foolproof mechanism to kind of set that application in stone kind of thing, or however use cases you feel. How do you see this entire slew of emerging technologies bringing a change into this entire process?
So tech is going to continuously evolve. That's the very nature, as you will have more data coming in. So earlier it used to be lesser people consuming data, less information available. Then you got data, so data became king. Now,
Right.
so there was this, conscious effort to meaningfully capture the data, which you
Mm-hmm.
can process it and solution better in a
True.
very ethical way. I'm saying in a platform which is ethically building solution, right?
Of course.
So AI in ML is essentially now a layer on the top of it, which is trying to solve multiple uh, level solutioning for basis the data that is available in the system, right? So whether it is about improving the efficiency, the speed, the calculation, the credit, reducing the errors, giving the right suggestion, and there could be generative. So obviously, then it can build another layer on the top of AI, which is also kind of giving you beyond the hard coded vitals that you require, which is your ROI and so on and so forth. It can sort of bring about a little bit of quality element to it. Uh, so that is very, very interesting. It is in our engine, for example,
Right.
we use AI to be able to look into what is the chances of somebody taking from a certain bank, and hence that probability plays a very, very important role. Our sanction advice essentially comes from the fact that these are the bank logic and this is the customer requirement. So what would be a sanction like? And then that essentially coming from the learning. When it comes to blockchain, I think that's a fantastic technology. When we have these deep discussion with our tech team, and a bunch of ideas which keep coming. At this point in time, we try to contain that. Okay, now let's just focus on this year and next year
Right.
kind of thing. But it will be stupid to not focus on blockchain as a use case, particularly when the tech allows such a transparent distribution of information, right?
Right.
And we also have, as a long shot, we have kind of looked at multiple use cases wherein you can use this kind of technology, create a uh, something similar to a DigiLocker, wherein you are able to bring the information together so that the multiple use cases can come in from the same credit information that is available. So one-time credit appraisal is done, then that can this credit appraisal be used for multiple use cases is something that as an idea we keep exploring, and then multiple other ideas which I'm not making a forward-looking statement here. But in general, I think banks would be working on it and are working on it, and it will simplify, life to a great extent. That as a customer, I do not have to go through the same crediting, exercise all over again if I were to from the same bank taking another product, because that information is always available, and with
Exactly.
consent, it can come to play and offer me a lot more solutioning, looking into various other loans and the obligations that I have, and try to improve my solutioning, not just to the product that I applied for, but across. Now that the profile is created in the bank, and all of this will require some bit of AI and blockchain. Like I said, as we have more acceptance from the government, from the industry, uh,
Right.
as a tech, it is fantastic tech, right? With
Agreed.
giving power and distributing the power to everybody.
True. No, perfect. I think this is really exciting, and this kind of this entire role that the technologies are playing in creating more operational efficiencies as well as overall wider penetration just makes me more optimistic about the future on how these technologies will help us take the financial services to the next billion as a quality. Having said that, I know I said that this is going to be the last question, but while we were talking, while you were answering the previous question, I think you brought up a couple of points that reminded me of something that I think I should ask you. And if you kind of want to not answer that, it's completely fine as well. So it's more around how I think a couple of years back, if I'm not wrong, I remember there was a lot of buzz around this specific project done by a few governments wherein they were trying to digitize the land records and put it on blockchain. Currently, I'm not aware of the latest status of the project, but I'm assuming that it's kind of lost a lot of traction, is what I feel, or is what I've heard. So, what are your views on that kind of initiative from government at a larger scale? If that happens, across geographies, how do you how do you see that impacting the home loan or housing finance segment overall?
It's a very interesting piece. I am particularly interested in that, so I generally have one or two friends who are trying to have digital records of land and various other transactions and so on and so forth. But to start with the piece that you're talking about, how much progress have we made, or what is the ability there, or whether we should or not. I think there's a great value in digitizing the property transaction. Land records all the more, because it kind of completely takes away any fraud that can happen. And as you go years back into the title and so on and so forth, there is always this one chance of something going wrong, something not getting captured, right? And it can take away the entire stress, efficiency in the system if one was to do it. Yes, it's going to take some time before you are able to cover all the pin codes across India. Maybe you'll start with metros and then you'll go deeper into it. Maybe you'll start with certain states and then you go deeper into it. It will require a collaboration between state and central, naturally, because a lot of it is at district level, revenue level, and so on and so forth. So, but it's critical if you want to bring transparency. Forget about how does it play out on home loan or does it play out on the property transaction, but it kind of brings a very legit record in a format which will not require repeated effort, and which is a beauty with technology, right? So if you were to do something which requires a multiple time over the same effort to be taken, technology can simplify it and can make it zero. So that is where it comes in. So land records are very critical. I think with RERA, some bit of information is flowing on the digital side when it comes to the construction part of the primary real estate.
Right.
But yes, with secondary real estate also getting on it, primary getting on it is the right way of doing it. It will simplify industry, it will simplify consumers, choices and the transparency into the entire thing. And which is what I was kind of alluding to when I was saying that work is being done. And that's something that government has to also pick it up or promote or encourage for private players to do it. Because if you have recognition for that, and then acceptance will follow.
Agreed. I think if this essentially happens, it'll actually be a lot more easier to process at least even the secondary market loans once the records are digitized and verified. That will create a much larger impact and operational efficiency for the banks as well. But I think this has really been great, Pramod. Thank you so much for your time. It has really been an insightful conversation, and I think surprisingly over my last 100 odd episodes over last 3 years, I think this has just been the second organization focused on home loans as such. There have been many organizations in digital lending, insurance, and healthcare, and so on and so forth, but probably just the second one. And I would wish to talk to more people solving for this segment and building stuff. So you guys are doing really great stuff, and thank you so much once again for your time. It was really insightful.
Thank you, Shreyas. It was lovely to be part of this, and hopefully this is insightful for your audience.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you.